I will not be calling out individual names since these have been called, but I did want to especially acknowledge again Dr. Agnes Kayamar, who will be our keynote speaker. A warm welcome to all our visitors this morning and for the next 2 days. Sorry. I did want to say that I've been feeling quite high, if I might use a term that's relevant to today's discussion. I've been quite high seeing some familiar faces, including colleagues from work going back as far as the 1970s around human rights. I see friends from the anti-death penalty from an earlier campaign, successful campaign that got rid of the death penalty. And of course, now we are fighting to prevent it from being reinstalled. Legally, it is not reinstated yet. Right? There's still one more battle to be fought at the Senate. And of course, I was sort of surprised to see friends from the HIV/AIDS work. And then I realized that, yes, we've been talking about harm reduction and all. So there's a kind of convergence of many issues from the past. And I am proud that UP Diliman is in such good company. But I want you to think of us, people from UP Diliman, as learners today, learners and partners in this very important endeavor to bring in fresh, new perspectives on a very old issue. And talking about old issues, I wanted to just share a little anecdote here. For our international visitors, there was someone who appeared in the video on the national anthem twice. It's hard to catch him in the middle, but the end had a monument, and the person there was Jose Rizal, who is our national hero. And we actually have from the archives a letter from a German scientist to our national hero asking if the Philippines had hashish. And Rizal replied saying that we did indeed have hashish and that he had tried it as in 1879 when he was 18 years old. And he was very quick to say he was trying it for experimental purposes and that he had gotten it from a drugstore. I have to remind you that at that time, marijuana and opium were legal materia medica. They were drugs sold in drugstores. What's interesting is that if you Google for Rizal and hashish, you'll find all kinds of postings now from others who claim that Ambet Ocampo, who's a historian, had written that Rizal experimented with, instead of hashish, just hashish. Now they claim that Rizal used marijuana and opium. And it is very tempting to speculate about Rizal's foray into the drugstores and hashish, and perhaps the other drugs. But my fear here, of course, is that, yes, it's good to know, but do we really want to go into all this speculation? And this is really one of the problems we face in the academe. Our interest in drug issues sometimes becomes academic and distant. And it almost becomes, we look at the drug issue pretty much like a dilettante. Did he not use it in the same way that we debate? Did he retract or did he not retract? In more recent times, the academic work on drugs, which is not really a popular issue for academicians, but when they do pick it up, it tends to take the perspective of drugs as deviance and as delinquency. Meanwhile, in this campus, which is 500 hectares, larger than the Vatican, I must remind you, we have communities that grapple with the issues of drug wars and tokhang, that means knocking and inviting people for interrogation, now sometimes known as tokbang. We deal with families, we deal with the barangay captains. There are 8 barangays within UP Diliman. We have had at least 6 executions within UP Diliman attributed to vigilantes since the police and military are not allowed on campus. We also deal with students. And I actually wake up sometimes in the middle of the night because I live on campus when I hear gunshots and I worry who was executed. I worry about collateral damage that might involve students. I worry, what if students, faculty, or staff are caught with drugs? Under the present dispensation, with so much arbitrariness, even suspicion of drug use can totally ruin the suspect, quote-unquote, life. Today, we are privileged to have speakers who will present the state of the art, from neurological research to actual experiences in policy, especially around legislation. I would have wanted to hear more on the work around rehabilitation. I believe we have presentations there, but this can of course follow later. And I did say right away, I said yes right away when Ines Feria approached me asking if we could be a partner, because as an academic institution, we are duty-bound to advance science. What is so disturbing about what is happening today in the Philippines and other parts of the world is that so many of our crucial public policies are formulated without science. The March for Science 2 Sundays ago, which was worldwide but mainly directed in the States against Trump, that March of Science had one that was done here in Quezon City, and it brought out usually placid and apolitical scientists into the streets protesting the assaults on science. For the Philippines, this could not be more real than in drug policies, where we see the use of programs and strategies that have been found to be not only useless, but harmful, with consequences that will affect many future generations. We can no longer plead ignorance. The evidence is there, summarized in reports of the Global Commission on Drug Policy, the most recent of which is entitled Advancing Drug Policy Reform, a New Approach to Decriminalization. Significantly, the book includes photographs of inmates from Quezon City sleeping in the stairwell of their penitentiary. I'm not even sure if it is the penitentiary, packed like sardines, incarcerated on suspicions of being, and here again, very relevant to our lawyers, because they were so-called drug users, drug addicts, drug pushers, drug personalities. I asked the Chief Justice of the Philippines, what is a drug personality? And she says there is no legal definition. You cannot jail a drug personality. When I asked the police, they could not give me a definition either. The photos are important reminders of why we have meetings such as the one that we are having today. Any of those inmates in the photos could be from one of our communities or families. The photographs remind us of the way we are all interconnected, maybe even enmeshed. I think of a 5-year-old girl that I first met shortly here in one of our communities after becoming chancellor, and she had a swollen red eye with hemorrhage. The relatives said that she had fell down the stairs, and I knew they were not telling me the truth. I brought her to the health service. The attending physician whispered to me what I had suspected. A few months later, she had to be treated again, whipped by her father with a stingray, buntut ng pagi. He was drunk, the relatives said, and I asked, alcohol or drunks? And then scolded myself later because I had fallen to the trap of thinking of alcohol as alcohol and drugs as drugs, and the latter as worse, meaning if they had answered he was drunk, it would have been easier to forgive him, right? And we know, of course, this is an artificial dichotomy. Recently also, I asked the community about a 16-year-old boy who I'd seen at an alternative learning class. He was trying to get his high school certificate. He had a wound on his right temple, and he explained that his father had hammered him. Minartilyo siya. The barangay captain gave me a signal. She does this when we're moving around. She does this to mean he was taking shabu. And when I asked very recently where the kid was, the barangay captain said that he had been hauled in with the father in a recent raid and was in jail. That was several weeks ago. I look forward to a day, not in the distant future, I hope, where we can present papers from our work here in the Philippines, including more positive accounts. As a university, we must provide spaces for continuing dialogue. I am still optimistic about the future. This is not an anti-government meeting. We have people from government, including myself, because UP is government. And at the same time, UP is the Pambansang Universidad, the national university, and we are mandated to serve the nation. Therefore, this meeting is part of that mandate. UP Diliman is a comprehensive university, and the issues around drugs challenge us to bring together the biomedical, the natural and social sciences, the arts and humanities. We will, in particular, need more research with voices and narratives. We have to keep reminding ourselves that we are talking about people's lives and that our science must capture realities in different places, even different times, and Rizal comes back to haunt us, so that we can map out and allow us and navigate the often perilous waters of drug policies and practices. All said, the university must commit itself to building a science that can explain only because it understands those lives and that we understand them and ourselves with compassion. Good morning to all of you, and the best of, I look forward to 2 days of very productive discussions. Marami pong salamat.